Kalu's surprised me. His growth as a player has been really significant coming in. He's done some different things that I didn't know. Like, we knew he could defend, and he had versatility defensively. We knew he could offensive rebound. His ability to pass the ball in the seams, really, I mean, a lot of those assists weren't like him, coming down and like in transition making plays. They were him getting into action, getting himself in the seams, and then making the right reads, like in those seams, like the cut to Kellen. Even though play late, like he got give a wide open three in the seams, we missed it. But he got give a wide open three in the seams. Like, his ability to pass out of that has really grown. His ability to hit cutters on the baseline, that part of his game to me has grown exponentially. So I don't want to put any ceilings on what he can do. I mean, he had 5 assists, and he probably in that scenario, had some really good looks for us where he had I think he got Joe another one for Joe on the wing, one for Gibb. Like, part of our late game offense, we had way too many turnovers, but when we did get good looks besides Gibb at that last one, we just missed him. We had too many turnovers, and we got some quality looks. And he was the one, because of the way they were guarding us, getting in the seams, he was the one making those reads. And so his growth there is significant. We need that in the trigger spot. He's not going to be like Robbie, where he's, the hub for what we're doing, and we're just going to play through him all the time, because that's not really what he does best. But his ability to drive the ball, he plays. Offense, to me, is about force, which is getting the ball to the paint, getting the ball to the rim. Kalu does that through his ability to drive it, through his seam rolls, through his offensive rebounding, as well as anybody on our team. He can do all those things at a high level, and all those things put incredible pressure on the rim. And then once you put pressure on the rim, you're putting them in rotation, and then you play behind that. He does that as well as anybody in our program. So I think his assist numbers will continue. That trajectory will continue on that level.
So you can now look when he passes?
I can look when he passes now. Yeah, I've got to where I look away, and Brad usually throws the ball off the wall, but no, in that game he made great reads, and going back through it, watching the film, it was even better than I thought in person. Obviously in person it was good. He made some great pass to Kellen for the dunk. It's a couple really good passes. But him understanding and getting good at understanding what he does, like we talked about that with him, is not the way he played at Brown. He played through post-ups and elbow isos and different things. We're asking him to do different things. He can bring the ball in transition. He is fast. When he brings the ball with him, he can really put pressure on a defense, because he's so quick with the ball. It's just, he's got to get to where he's comfortable handling it. But that stresses a defense big time. And then his ability, like I said, to get in those seams and really attack. And he's great at, off the gets, keeping it, and puts so much pressure on the rim. And offense is based on that, good offense based on that. We just need him to keep doing it, and I'll start looking now when he passes the ball more, because his assist turnover ratio is back to 1-to-1, so we're excited about that. I think the dribble handoffs are a part of what we do. They're a huge part of what we call the triggers, like ball screens, and we call them dribble pitches, because we don't really ever want to hand it. We want to flip it, because if they can hand it, that's too easy to guard. But if you can pitch it, that means the guy has separation. If you can't pitch it, you shouldn't give it to him, because that means he's being blown up, and you should keep it and play to the next. We call that a bypass. So, but his ability, that goes back to the seams. Anytime he's on the ball, he needs to be trying to get himself into those seams, because as we come off and we hit him in those pockets, that's creating rim pressure, because now he's coming downhill, and that's where his growth, like early in the year, his rim decisions were really poor as you go into all summer, even in early fall. And he's had so much growth there in terms of being able to understand, make reads, and see what the defense is giving him, where the help's coming from, and how to make those plays. And that's what's generating. Like I said, I think he had 3. He generated for his teammates in that last 8 minutes. 3 wide open threes. We missed them all, but he generated all those out of the beginning of those teams. And so it's got to be a big part for him, where Robbie, because of his shooting ability, can roll or pop, and it just kind of depends. The defense can tell him what to do, and he can kind of do either with equal efficiency, because of 40% three-point shooter. Obviously, Kalu, we don't have that luxury, so it's just different. But it goes back to, you adapt to what you have. This group's been adaptive, and Kalu has strengths that Robbie doesn't have. So we just got to leverage those strengths, and then I think you'll see some. Hopefully, AJ, Killian, they each have different things, and we need more from those guys. And I think we'll get some more this week. I'm excited about how they practice. AJ's had a really good 2 days, so hopefully he continues. But he's done some really good things here Monday and Tuesday. We switch 2 through 5 in every game. It kind of vacillates based on what the opponent presents. Like Doesn't mean that we'll do that, same thing against Wichita State because it's different personnel. But what I think with Isaiah is, he's the best we have at pressuring the ball. He's the best we have at getting through screens. So there's a level of do you want to keep him on the other team's best player because he does a great job of canceling screens, he does a really nice job of getting through things. We put, and we did that some last game, like when Larry came in, we put Larry through some. We went, where those two guys were through, or Josiah. We don't want those guys to get posted. Where Gibb and Kalu can guard down. Gibb is physical enough to guard up. Kellen kind of has versatility defensively. But, I think teams can try to exploit it. But the thing with Isaiah is he's so good pressuring the ball. Good defenders don't get screened. He very rarely gets hung up in a screen. Our bad defenders are constantly getting hung up in screens, Good defenders, because they're active and alert and activate off the ball, they're able to navigate those screens. And then when they come in the ball screen, the most common screen, because he's so into the ball, he cancels most of those screens, whether he goes over them or under them. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to get him. The best ball screen coverage is no ball screen coverage. That means you canceled it and you're not in a drop or you're not in any coverage. He cancels more ball screens than almost he and Julian Larry last year is unbelievable. Couldn't screen those guys. And so we got to get more guys that can do that. Right now, I think we have guys like Kellen could do that. He just plays so far off the ball. Mm-hmm. He's got to get to where his ball pressure is equal to his athleticism. It's kind of counterintuitive, but we got to have more ball pressure from more guys. But Isaiah really gets him the ball. And so I think it's harder to attack. I think the switching allows us to flatten people out. It keeps people out of what they want to do. I thought we did, on Porter, a really good job of switching his stuff, which kept him in front. And then we did ball pressure and showed crowd. And so when he drove, we were able to even though we had smaller guys on him, size is only relevant as it gets closer to the rim, right? Size, switching guys and putting them on and getting them under and showing crowds and having early high help and swarming his drives. I thought we kind of made life difficult on him for a guy that's a 20-point-a-game guy. And teams can certainly try to counter it, but as the thing with Isaiah, he's hard to screen. He's so fast and he's strong. He gets through things. He's tough. Everything you want in a defender other than being 5'10".
This screenshot from the Billikens win over Loyola-Marymount isn't at a crucial time. It isn't really even a crucial or to some people that impressive a play. But for me, it's one of the most important plays here in the early season for the Billikens going forward. Don't listen to me about why this play is so important. Here's Billikens head coach Josh Schertz from after the game on Saturday.
Two things there. Kalu getting in the seams, we're trying to get him in the seams more. He needs to roll more. He loves to pop. I don't know why, but he loves popping, loves it. We love him. He told me, he's like, I'm just going to roll every time. Then I said, awesome. Do it every time. Don't do anything else. So, but Kellen reading that, hitting the pocket, that's terrific. His growth, Kellen was terrific tonight. Kellen's going to be fantastic. And he's, he's a guy that his energy changes the game. He plays so hard. We talked a lot about, you can be, all great players are not great winners, and all great winners are not great players. And so, Kellen's a guy, but the best players are both. They're great winners and great players. And Kellen's just he's got the ability to be both. He's a really talented player, but he's an awesome winner. Whatever it takes to win, Kellen Thames going to do it. If he has to, jump in and there's just nothing, fight through screens, whatever it takes, he's going to find a way to get his team across the finish line. And so we're really lucky to have him. I thought he's shown a lot of growth in 3 games, and I tell him he's just scratching the surface of how good he's going to be. He's literally he's just scratching the tip of the iceberg for what he could become. He's got a chance to be I don't want to be hyperbolic, but he's got a chance to be a really, really special player here over the next 3 years.
Should he have gotten an assist on that one ball between the guy's legs?
Well, he did raise his hand like he meant to do that. So so I saw him raise his hand like that was a intentional play. So it's it's like when the guy tips the ball in, everybody raises their hand for the defense tips it in their own basket. He took credit. He raised his hand. I don't know if they did or not, but he definitely did not. They should have given him an assist because we needed him. We only had 13 tonight. So.
All right, let's close out this episode with 10 sets, motions, or miscellaneous that I liked from the Billikens' latest game. Let's start out with number 1, and it's going to be just the different motions they use to get Gibson Jimerson open. Obviously, this is going to be a big focal point for the Billikens offense this entire season, and just any little thing they were doing, whether it was in the primary action, whether it was over on the weak side to get Gibson Jimerson open or create space for him. I liked everything the Billikens were doing in this. They did a couple different times in addition to the other regular sets they used, and I liked every single one of them. Number 2 is going to be Kalu Anya resetting his screen immediately. I only used a couple of examples here, but he did it throughout the entire game. Whenever they were in that dribble handoff, and usually when Isaiah Swope was coming off the screen version of the dribble handoff after he came around it, usually what Kalu Anya would do is reset the screen immediately, and I think it creates a lot of different kind of spacing options and ways to attack a defense. Number 3 is going to be the inbounds play under the basket. The first one you see, very short. You don't really see it develop, but it's pretty much the exact same setup that they used to get what was essentially the game-winning bucket on the other end. I know Coach Bovair tweeted it out because the skip pass was so special and the big three was so special. So that's going to be number 3 on the day. Number 4 is going to be that at least once every game, Kellen Thames goes flying. And this is my one from this game, and I absolutely love it every time. Number 7, Amari McCautry had a short game, but I loved everything he did, including making a quick play on the short roll, and then he had a couple of good plays in defense as well. Again, short time in the first half because of some misplays offensively, but I like what we saw from Amari McCautry. Another little one play thing that I liked. This is this little juke from Isaiah Swope. I just like the way that he creates this extra space. You think it's going to be primary option, getting him the ball off the dribble handoff with Kalu Anya, but it's actually to get Larry Hughes open. I love this action. Use a little misdirection mentally against the team because they know you're going to be focusing in on Isaiah Swope. Number 7 in our list today is going to be the different formations of the Spain pick and roll. Again, Spain pick and roll is something you're going to see from the Billikens a lot this season. In fact, you're also going to see it from the Wichita State Shockers tonight. Spain pick and roll is all simple. You have your primary pick and roll, and then you have a guy who's going to screen the screener behind, and usually the main pick and roll is going to roll, the screener is going to pop out, and that's what you see on all 3 of these different Spain sets as they try to get different people open. It works to get the ball handler open, it works to get the roller open, and it can also work to get the shooter open, although in none of these instances that what happens. Moving on to our next one, off-ball screens into the dribble handoff actions. Obviously, today, if you watched any of this video or any of my videos on Twitter, you've seen that dribble handoff is going to be a big thing for the Billikens this year. And one thing I noticed on this play, and I think there were some other ones, but I couldn't find them right off the top of my head, which is off-ball screens into that dribble handoff action. Again, it's just creating more space. I love that kind of move. Speaking of creating more space and creating misdirection that the defense doesn't expect, we're moving on to our next one. This is going to be guard slip screen. You see this a lot with Gibson Jimerson. In fact, if you go back to the Spain setting, you'll see that Kobe Johnson did it once earlier in a Spain play, but a lot of these ones are going to be Gibson Jimerson slipping this quick screen to Isaiah Swope. Now, this doesn't create any options for Gibson, but there are multiple times where it creates space for Isaiah Swope. He's then able to attack that. And I just like this. Again, you're creating options for Gibson to create space. You're creating triggers, as the Billikens like to call it, where the defense can make a mistake and give you space to attack. We're going to move on to our last one on this list for today. It's just going to be one quick play, which is Isaiah Swope. He's not known as a playmaker. They talk about how they don't want him to be the primary playmaker because that's not his game. But nonetheless, at least once every game, Isaiah Swope is going to bring out an absolute highlight reel pass. There are 10 things, 10 sets, 10 motions, 10 miscellaneous that I liked from the Billikens this past game. And in this first edition, I'm actually going to add one more because the loss of Josiah Dotzler to a knee injury on Wednesday. Now, we don't know the extent of the injury. He's going to get an MRI today, and we do not have the extent of the injury just yet, but I imagine he's not going to be in tonight's game. He was huge for the Billikens, and so I'm going to throw up a bonus number 11, and that was the play of Josiah Dotzler. He helped them out against the press from the Marymount defense. He helped them out as a ball handler. In offense, he was able to finish, and he played a little good defense as well. So Josiah Dotzler is going to be missed for today's game. Everything he brought, the reason he got so many minutes, he was crucial to the Billikens. So there it is. 10 things plus 1, motions, sets, and miscellaneous that I like from the Billikens against the Lions.